Week 9, biking barefoot across South America. Day 57, biking barefoot across South America. After a few fun days in Kimbiri, it was time to move on. Lugging the bike down flights of stairs is the price I pay for staying in a hotel. I got stopped by the cleaning lady to make sure I had paid for my stay and to request a picture with me. Let's see how many people stopped me today to talk or ask for pictures. A few steps later, I got stopped for the second time of the day. It was the hotel owner asking for a picture before I left. On my way out of town, I was chased by a dog that also wanted a picture with me. Before I got out of Kimbiri, I got stopped by numbers 4 and 5 that also wanted pictures with me. It didn't take long before some others noticed I was stopped. 6, 7 came out of the woodwork to get pictures with me. I'm glad they enjoy my videos. I finally made it out of town and made it into Kimbiri Alto. Part of what makes this region so pretty is the vast number of rivers, streams, and waterfalls. Every 15 minutes I pass by another waterway. It was hot, humid, and sunny. These are the days that I drink a lot of water. Number 8 stopped his car and gave me this weird-looking fruit I've never seen before. Thanks for the alien fruit. Anyone know what this is? There were a few very steep uphill portions of the ride today. Sometimes I stand up on a tough uphill ride like this. It helps to give my rear end a little break. At the top of the hill, a guy stopped me to give me some fruits, and a few other fans asked for pictures with me. Thanks so much for the fruits. Let's see what we got in here. Oranges and bananas. A lot of people don't even know that places like this exist in Peru. Peru isn't all deserts and high mountainous areas. There's also a lot of green areas brimming with wildlife and full of trees, waterfalls, and wild fruits. Peru hosts an estimated 15% of all animal species on the planet. These two guys stopped me for a quick video. This little wasp wanted in on the action too. I stopped in this shady spot for some water. 16 was quick to spot me. 17 wasn't too far behind. 18 and 19 followed in their footsteps to get their pictures. Then I started giving out some of my cards. 20 came out of the woodwork once he saw the cards. Then 21 pulled up on his motorcycle to get in a picture as well. 22 decided to take a little rest underneath my bike. The kids followed me here. After I left, I only made it about 1 block before I heard some yelling for me to stop. This awesome woman stopped me to give me an ice cream bar. The kids quickly gathered around me and I started giving out cards again.
Oh my god! Oh my god! My god!
I'm pretty sure that little guy liked the card he got. 21 came back for some ice cream too. Thanks for showing me so much love and appreciation, guys. These 3 dudes stopped me as they were passing by in their car. They said they were from Ayacucho and they wanted some pictures with me. Before they left, they gave me some money for my chicha. These 2 little boys came up to talk to me before I left. Last but not least, 32 waved to me as she passed by. Today I took the time to record all these interactions I had with these amazing people I met on my ride. But honestly, this was a pretty normal day. I receive welcomes like these in many of the towns I pass through. And Peruvians are always very kind and generous with me. The world isn't as bad and scary as we're made to think. Day 58, biking barefoot across South America. While I was out riding today, I got stopped by a woman standing outside of this place. She invited me to come have some food. The food was served and it was delicious. The fresh starfruit juice was just what I needed. Now let's check out what fruits I can find. Know what these are? These are the fruits from the juice I just drank. This is a starfruit. This here is some kind of an orange. Nice round shape. Now we're on to the cool stuff. Absolutely no idea what this massive fruit is. It's got a rough texture to it, and the tree was producing abundantly. The fruit was pretty hard, so I wasn't even sure if it was edible. So I decided to leave this one here on the tree. Cocos! I love coconuts. I really want to get one of these. And there's a couple different trees to choose from. It's been a while since the last time I climbed up a palm tree, but I'm sure I still got it. Climbing a palm tree is just like riding a bike. The cocos were still a little small, but I'm sure they'll still have some good water inside of them. I tried to twist the coconut off, but it wasn't working. So I gave it a tug and it came loose. Climbing down the coconut tree is actually harder than climbing up the tree. Mission complete. Can't wait any longer to try these out. Today I'm also going to try the anana fruit that I was gifted yesterday since I haven't tried it yet. Let's dig in. First up is the star fruit. It's named that because if you cut it in half, the fruit's the shape of a star. It was good, but this one wasn't fully ripe yet. It was still super sour. You really feel the crunch when you bite into it. 6 out of 10. Next up, the orange. This type wasn't easy to peel at all. The skin was really hard to get off. Tasted pretty much like a normal orange though. 5 out of 10. Now this is the one I'm excited to try. This big fruit's similar to the custard apple. I was told in the comments that it's a wild jungle fruit called anona. Never seen or heard of this fruit before. This is what it looked like yesterday when it was gifted to me by a passerby. Today the tips turned black. Inside it's got large black seeds surrounded by a creamy white meat. Let's taste. It's a pretty quirky flavor. I can't even really compare it to something I've tasted before. Very mild sweetness and only a tiny hint of sour. Creamy yet firm texture, almost like a healthy vanilla ice cream if you took away all the sugar. I really enjoyed this one in its complexity of flavors. 9 out of 10. Time for a dip in the pool to cool down on such a hot day. The owner also had a fish farm where they breed and grow pacu. The pacu is a close relative of the piranha, and they're good fish food because they grow extremely fast. It's common to find baby pacus for sale at pet stores in the US, but they aren't great aquarium fish because of how fast and large they grow. The favorite time for any fish, feeding time. As he launches out the fish pellets, the pacus start going absolutely berserk. They're only given food once a day, and as you can see, they've been waiting all day for this moment. Let's take a closer look. One of the pacu even tried to eat my camera. On my walk back to the restaurant, I found yet another strange fruit. I don't even know what this one's called. Squishy and a vibrant blood red. Let's give it a try. Strange texture. Kinda creamy, but it has little tiny grains or grits inside of it. Good sweet flavor though. 7 out of 10. Finishing off the day with a fried pacu for dinner. Thanks so much for the tour of the fish farm and inviting me to stay here. Day 59, biking barefoot across South America. No, la policía, no. I had a long day of riding ahead of me, so I needed to start off the day with a good meal. Amazonian rice always fills me up. It was another hot and dusty ride today as I continue alongside the Apurimac River. Everything was going just fine until I passed this cop. We looked at each other and I knew I was busted. The police chase was on. I tried to speed off and lose him, but I couldn't shake him. I pedaled as fast as I could, but he was just too fast. He was tailing right behind me and I was wondering why I was about to get pulled over. Was I speeding? Did I camp somewhere I wasn't supposed to? Maybe my license plate was expired? Did I overstay my visa? I managed to hold him off for a while, but eventually he tracked me down. It turns out he actually was pulling me over, but not for any of the reasons that I thought. I had just arrived into a new district and the mayor of this district wanted to meet me. So he sent one of his policemen to meet me and escort me to the district capital. I accepted the escort. It was kind of weird at first getting a police escort since I ride a little slower than a motorcycle does, but Macklin was cool and didn't rush me. I rode with him for a few hours until we got close to the capital. We arrived to a tree that's sacred to the local people. It's called the Chichucuyo tree, and legend has it that the tree keeps getting fatter and fatter each time someone dies in the village. I hope I don't end up making the tree any fatter. We were almost to where we needed to go. Thanks for the escort, Macklin. I pulled into the restaurant where I was supposed to be meeting the mayor and his team. The mayor was the first one to come up and greet me, followed by several of his counselors. They were following my journey for a few weeks and wanted to give me a warm welcome into their district, Manatea. They already had lunch prepared and waiting for me. Catfish soup and lomo saltado, one of Peru's flagship dishes. First time getting a special invite from a mayor. I feel important. They invited me down to the river where they were having a cookout for me. I followed them from the restaurant down the winding dirt path that took me past a bunch of cacao farms. The nice thing was that it was all downhill to the river. I got to the cabin and dropped off my things when I realized that I was harboring a stowaway. I guess I just have a thing for animals. This mantis wanted to catch a ride. I started making my way down to the river. Miss Mantis didn't want to leave, so I brought her down to the beach with me. We played for a bit before I let her go. This is the Apurimac River that I've been riding along for the past 2 weeks. It looks like there was already a party going on before I got there. There were already some pacus smoking over the bonfire. It was a pretty legit cooking setup they got going on here. I'm sure that pacu is going to be delicious. Fresh off of the grill, and it was time to feast. Much needed after a long day riding. Dinner with the mayor's guys. Day 60, biking barefoot across South America. Today marks 2 months of riding. The first 2 months of the ride have been epic. How many more months is it going to take me to reach my goal in Patagonia? I had to do some off-roading to get to where I wanted to go, but the coolest spots are usually tough to get to. People ask me all the time if it burns my feet walking on hot sand or on the hot road. The answer? Not anymore. A long time ago it did, but my feet have toughened up and it doesn't bother me anymore. I stayed in the cabin last night and I enjoyed it, but I couldn't resist camping out here at the beach. So I got to work setting up the tent. Hopefully there's not a big rainstorm tonight since I'll be camping right on the edge of the beach. What do y'all rate this camping spot? I had to bust out my favorite toy to play with. Let's see what we can see with this drone. One of my favorite things about traveling by bike is my absolute freedom to go wherever I want, whenever I want. I'm easily able to take my bike and all my things down to a random beach like this and camp out. My bike grants me the freedom to see awe-inspiring places like the meeting of these 2 rivers in the middle of the jungle. These are places that few foreigners have ever set foot before. and even fewer have done so barefoot. I couldn't resist jumping in for a swim. Surprisingly, the water wasn't even cold. If I didn't burn so easily, I could spend hours out here in the water. But I do burn, so I'll just spend a short time in the water while I clean off my sleeping bag. It got a bit of mold on it when I left it wrapped up in the tarp for a week while it was still kind of wet. My favorite jungle meal. This is the pork jerky and plantain balls that are popular in the jungle. For lunch, I left the shelter in my tent and went into town. When I wandered back to my tent before bed, I came across these two boys at the beach. They had seen me earlier in the day and recognized me. They wanted to show me their catch of the day. They'd caught about 50 little fish. He pulled out a plecostomus first, and he also showed off the little catfish and tetras too. They took out and lined up their best catches to put on display. The little boy was warning me how the plecostomus fish has these little spiky, bony things on their cheeks. They also flare them up when they feel threatened. He carefully gathered the fish back up and put them away. They are soon destined for the frying pan. These little fish they fry up whole with the bones, organs, and all. After they showed me the fish, they invited me to chew coca leaves with them while we talked. In this part of the country, chewing coca leaves is a social event, kind of like drinking a coffee or having a beer together, and I was accepted into the group. They showed me how they mixed the coca leaves with this black paste called yipta. It's a paste made from the ashes of the quinoa plant. It enhances the effects of the coca leaves. The Incas have used some form of yipta to mix with their coca leaves for over 2,000 years. After the coca party ended, it was bath time. I found this huge toad sitting on the rock, but I didn't want him watching me while I bathed. The water's a little bit chilly now. Bathing in the fresh stream at the end of the day soothes the soul. The thought of going to bed all hot and sweaty is not very appealing. So when I'm camping close to a river or stream, 10 times out of 10, I'm going to take a quick bath before sleeping. Even brought along my shampoo to rinse my hair and beard. Anyone that thinks that I don't bathe while riding, myth busted. Day 61, biking barefoot across South America. There's no better morning drink than fresh coconut water. I'm not a master at opening up these things, but I have learned a thing or two from seeing it done so many times. Popped open the top and it was all ready. This one only had a little bit of meat inside since it was still a young coconut, but the water inside was what I was after. 6 sips later and I finished it off. The guys picked me up and took me into town. I had this amazing seafood soup for breakfast filled with crab, squid, octopus, and shrimp. They told me I needed it to build up my strength for the tough days ahead. These crab claws were loaded with meat. After breakfast, they took me up the mountain to get a bird's eye view of the town. I was standing on the spine of the mountain with an amazing 360 view of the valleys. I felt very alive standing up here on this rickety bamboo shelter on the mountain ridge. As I gazed out into the jungle, the gusts of wind grazed my body. I thought the whole shelter was going to collapse. Roy and Zosimo were my guides today, showing me all the cool places Manatea has to offer. It's a small town, but the surrounding nature is what makes it so pretty. Green as far as the eyes can see. The Amazon never ceases to amaze me. The Amazon is still a wild place, though. My feet have been getting destroyed the past few days here by these sandflies. They're 10 times worse than mosquitoes. Their bites hurt more, they itch more, they last longer, and they leave these little red dots on the skin. The dot lasts for over a week. But hey, the mayor gave me some coffee and chocolate, so at least I'll have something sweet to eat to help cope with the itchiness. Later, they took me to a local hangout spot beside this pond. The dock was still under construction, so I hope it holds up. The owner said that he just stocked the pond with cichlids and it was feeding time. These particular fish multiply very fast in small ponds like this because they're mouth-brooding fish. That means that the mommy fish keeps all the babies inside of her mouth to protect them from predators until they're big enough to be out on their own. The cacao is one of the prettiest fruits. It reminds me of the changing of the maple leaves in the fall. He's gonna pop one open for me. The whole membrane slides straight out of the pod. After an hour with the guys, we'd gone through a few cacaos, several coconuts, and 2 pitchers of sugarcane juice. They enjoyed some red bananas too. While laying down here on this dock, I'm reminded of how small I am, and also how big the world is. Today was another day of my journey, and another day being blessed by the kindness of others. Day 62, biking barefoot across South America. I had a treacherous climb ahead of me today as I worked my way up and out of the Apurimac River Valley. It's bittersweet because after I reach the top of the mountain, I'll no longer be in the brine that's treated me so well the past couple of weeks. These little dirt paths riding past cacao farms were so peaceful, at least for a few minutes. Everything was going great until I tried to get a little too fancy with my drone. Bam! Straight into a tree. This was the first real crash of the trip. It dropped hard. I inspected the drone, and thankfully it didn't appear to be damaged. Glad I didn't crash it over water or up some unscalable mountain. On my way out of town, the guys from Manatea invited me to have breakfast with them one last time. They also placed bets on how long it would take me to reach the top of the insane climb I have today. Let's see who wins. I rode through this little town of Churumpiari before starting the climb. The climb was steep and it was brutally hot. The road conditions were awful too. I took a break to eat this giant cacao they had gifted me while I was in town. It's one of my new favorite fruits. You gotta cut through the thick pod to get to the good stuff. The white pulp is the sweet part that tastes good, but the pulp is stuck to the cacao beans. You gotta chew on it for a little while to get the pulp off, but that's the fun part.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. All the cacao farmers down here, if they wanna eat the pulp off of the cacao, they chew it in their mouth, and when they finish, they spit it back into the pod. You know why? Because they're still going to use this cacao. They're still going to use this cacao seed to make chocolate. So there's a very good chance at some point in your life you've eaten chocolate that was already chewed up and spit out by somebody else.
The cacao break was just one of many breaks today. Every 20 minutes or so, I would just collapse to the ground to rest. The extreme heat and the insane incline made this uphill today intense. This couple stopped to give me a massive piece of bread. It was quickly smothered in Nutella and peanut butter and devoured. Gotta make sure I'm getting my calories in. Finally, after hours and hours of riding, I got up to an altitude where the temperature dropped a little bit. Going from 95 degrees to 85 degrees is a big deal. I saw this armadillo crossing the road, but I was so hot and sweaty, my camera had fogged up from being inside of my pocket. I was so excited to see him. Then I found this freaky looking thing. Still not sure what it is. It wasn't slimy like a worm. It was smooth like a snake, but its mouth was so tiny I couldn't even see it. And I don't even think it had eyes. He also kept trying to burrow, which made me think it was some kind of subterranean animal. Anyone know what this creature is? I was completely exhausted. I did some investigating to scope out a possible camping spot. Looks good enough for me. Also, I didn't feel like riding anymore today. This mountain whooped me. I won't make it to the top of the mountain today after all. One more night camping in the Vrime. Since I didn't make it, Eder wins the bet. He guessed I wouldn't make it until after 5 o'clock. I drifted off to sleep while I enjoyed the tranquil sounds of the jungle. Day 63, biking barefoot across South America. I woke up today beside my trusty sidekick. I found the mother load. They were all huddled up in one corner of the tent. I even had to sleep with the net gaiter covering my entire face, because these little flies kept biting me all night long. It's so hard to imagine the full scale of the Amazon jungle. This here is a microscopic piece of the largest forest in the world. I gotta get my things out of the tent and wheel old Reliable out. With the camping gear bungee strapped to my bike, I was ready to start riding. I had no idea what was in store for me today. I coasted down this little dirt path as I worked my way back to the main road. Hours passed without seeing a single car drive past me. I've ridden my bike all over the world, and I must say that this morning ride up here in the cloud forest ranks in my top 10 prettiest rides. I felt like the king of the jungle standing up here, overlooking the seemingly never-ending Amazon rainforest. I'd reached the top at last. A few minutes of riding downhill, I reached what appeared to be a military checkpoint. They were heavily armed and had some questions for me. I'd been warned that this particular checkpoint could be a big hassle, and that they'd probably search all my bags and make me take all my stuff out. It didn't take long before I busted out the oranges and started preparing my breakfast. I put on some jams and I locked in for this huge downhill ahead of me. The downhill was steep and the road conditions were absolutely terrible. Bam! That pothole came out of nowhere. Yep, I confirmed my fear. I got a flat tire. On a positive note, this was my first flat tire after over 2 months of riding. This tube was already patched 5 times and it had been on my bike for at least the last 3 years. I was going a lot faster here. I was locked in as I flew down the mountain, at least until my sombrero flew off. A few minutes later, tragedy struck. I went down, and I went down hard. I crashed my bike. My toes filled with a ton of dirt. My knee got completely destroyed. Shoulder was definitely hurting the worst. Hands and gloves took some minor damage. I gotta get to a town so I can find a place to shower and clean up these wounds. I guess I'll use this opportunity to rinse my toe off. Although, it won't really matter because in another 30 seconds, it'll just be dirty again. I got the impression that this man had never seen a bike before. I think he wanted to try it out. He seemed completely blown away by my bike and my ability to ride it. With each step through the mud, my toes were more and more likely to get infected. Too much stuff happened today. If you want to see how the day finished off, check out my YouTube channel for the full video.